And good afternoon, everybody. Hi, I'm Walter, and I'm the Dutch Mentor. And welcome to our session today, where we will be focusing on the three keys to success in 2023. Indeed, it is that time of the year again. It's already almost Thanksgiving week. It's only 4 weeks left to this beautiful year of 2022 that, of course, held a lot of surprises, a lot of good things, and I'm sure along the way some sad things. But it is time to start thinking about what are my goals? What are my keys to success for 2023? It is not too early, but almost, we tend to forget these things and do it too late. So, again, starting the process today, both for yourself and for your teams, is the right time. All right, why don't we start off by really reviewing real quick about why this is so very important. Now, I expect two types of people in my audience today. One are emerging leaders, people who are trying to find a way to whatever it is their big dream is, and those who are already currently in senior leadership roles who have a responsibility to develop their team members or to motivate and inspire their team. Because again, that's the secret to success, right? The higher the level of engagement, the greater the productivity. When the productivity is high, you get results. But we have to remember that 90% of our front line reports to a middle manager. But in honesty, I cannot say that we are supporting our middle managers all that well. I think we make attempts by sending them to orientation or maybe even to a workshop or a webinar. But the dirty little secret is that we really don't learn well that way. And we need to start recognizing that there is a better way of doing it. As adults, we need to have more tangible, action-based learning. Therefore, an article that Quinn Studer published today is a good reminder that we need to invest heavily in our middle managers. So if you are an up-and-coming emerging leader, albeit a team leader, a supervisor, director, senior director, AVP, VP, or even those in the most senior roles in the C-suite, this is something we have to take to heart. But how can we best invest in ourselves or in our middle manager? And there's a big discussion, we can have a big discussion around that topic. So traditionally speaking, people have been going to conferences or we hire, keynote speakers to address our teams. And on occasion, we spend big dollars on developing a workshop. Either an external consultant comes in or we develop that from within. But have we really measured the impact, the lasting impact of what we do today, our traditional way of learning, versus maybe a slightly a-traditional way of learning? And today, the three keys are really around what we call the 70-20-10 rule of learning. It is a proven framework that people can really feel engaged around. And this is not about a one-time learning opportunity, but it is about a continuous learning opportunity. Now, thinking back again, 90% of our frontline reports to a middle manager. Now, if you're in a senior role, do you have time in your calendar to properly coach and mentor, to provide people with formal education or allow people to learn on the job? Likely not. Although our intentions are well, but our time constraints don't allow us to provide the time and effort or the investment necessary to have tangible outcomes. I always laugh, right? We hire a $100,000 manager, but we are afraid to spend another $10,000 on giving them the coach, mentor, or support systems, consistent support systems, in order to allow them to go through the transition of doing to leading, or to adapt to the new culture that they came into, or to introduce new programs or systems. Why to make sure that our middle manager gets the lead at the top of their license, at the top of their privilege? So again, if you are an individual contributor, if you are a team leader, if you're new to management, again, this is a worthy investment to make in yourself. Right? These three keys you can do on your own. It doesn't have to cost a penny. As an organization, you want to invest, both an internal and external resource. I want you to think about this in a different ways. So these three keys to success for 2023 are truly meaningful and measurable and impactful. And you will see and sense a change if you adopt these and you execute them well. Again, the key differential is no more theory-based learning. Don't give them another study guide. Don't give them another book to read. It needs to be tangible. It needs to be actionable. It needs to be something that they can start doing tomorrow after they have learned it today. Something that they can measure. It is the measurement where the success allows you to accelerate. Again, a dirty little secret, and we don't do enough of this. Right? We cannot just go by memory. We have to go by holding ourselves accountable as a team or as individuals. So the 70-20-10 approach is really the 70% is on-the-job learning. And then we'll dive a little deeper into that. What does that really mean? 20% is more about getting that coaching, that mentorship. Thinking about no star athlete becomes a star and goes to the Olympics without having a good coach or mentor or guide. And 10% is, filling that gap that you might still have in your resume. Formal learning, getting your bachelor's or your master's, your postgraduate work, your certifications. It's the combination of these three keys that will help accelerate your growth and development. Again, we don't lead for promotion, right? We lead for cause. And if we utilize that cause, that why, that purpose-driven, that passion around your people and processes, the reward and recognition of being promoted will come. Again, what can you do today? Because remember, action-based learning. The action-based learning is for you to develop an individual development plan for yourself today. What is your ultimate goal? What is your big dream? What is the big dream for your team? What are the performance measures that you want to put into place and the outcomes you desire in 2023? Now is the time to think about that. And then we can start breaking them down into that 70-20-10 in order to give you a realistic chance to perform at or even above expectations. So what is the outcome that you desire? Is it smart, specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely? Once you establish that, and once you have a deep understanding of what it is that you want for yourself and for your team, what the senior leadership team or the board of directors is expecting of you, right? There's a cascading effect from top down all the way to the bottom. And again, it needs to go from the bottom all the way back to the top. But the 70% is on-the-job learning. So whatever it is that you need to do, we need to create that hope and opportunity for the team members to allow them to experience within their current roles, not just what they do today, but to start going beyond that, to help expand their, strengths and overcome their blind spots and give them exposure to what is next so they know and can prepare for this. So we can do this by simple things like adding some responsibilities to them, to their daily task or assignments, right? Allow the expansion of decision making by shifting the authority from you, the owner, to the performer with accountability, of course. Increase the employee's management of others, right? Give people an opportunity who are single contributors, who really would like to go into operations and people leading roles. Give them an opportunity to lead a few people. Right? It is your role to give them that hope and opportunity to go to wherever it is that they want to go. Hold them back and they will leave you. Right? They will get frustrated. If you're in a position as a leader who want to go from a single contributor to a people leading position, don't wait for it to be offered to you. You have to be hungry and go out and get it. Right? Go to your boss and suggest the 70-20-10 approach. It's one of your keys to success for 2023. If you visualize, you collaborate, you take action, you're much more likely to actually do it, right? You want to measure that along the way. Invite some of your team members into the more senior level meetings. Have them sit back and listen to us so they have a deeper understanding how decisions are made. Include employees in the forecasting of budgeting. I work with my students in our academy, and it's always surprising to me that Senior leaders, your managers, directors, senior directors have very little input in annual operating plans, and certainly capital plan even less. Make sure you become part of that, or allow people to be part of that. The deeper the understanding they have on the impact of budgeting on a department, the more fiscally responsible they will be, right? It's a very important asset for a good leader to have, as an understanding of P&L management. Encourage the cross-functional involvement of projects. Again, projects are a perfect gateway to bring people in as fresh eyes or subject matter experts. They get this cross-sectional experience across the entire value stream. Honestly, that's how I really have received most of my depthness, is by being heavily involved in as many projects as a facilitator, as a Lean Six Sigma black belt, or as a participant. I got a deep understanding of every part of the value stream. You can do that too in your current role, right? Just create opportunity and time, because that is part of developing our middle management team. Remember, they lead 90% of your workforce. If you want to get things done, it is only through them that we can really perform at the next level. And then bring employees into the hiring decision process. So when they are in a position to hire, it's not their first time. 70%, meaning you have to create time on your calendar. So if you work a 40-hour work week, create some time on your calendar that you can dedicate to learning while in your role for next level or more strategic in nature. Again, it's a very important part. Write down what it is that you want to do, how you're going to measure it, and then hold yourself accountable on a weekly basis, minimally, to make sure that you're making progress and that you actually attain this experience. All right, the second key to success for 2023 is to make sure that you have interaction with others. Now, again, as the boss, and I've been there in the most senior levels, I would always get the greatest joy in mentoring and coaching. But my calendar didn't really allow proper time. It was easy that I was distracted by telephone calls or interruptions, or I had to cancel sessions because something more important came up from above. It is where we have to change our mindset. Again, 90% of the front line is managed by middle management, and if they don't get the proper support, it's difficult for them to lead at the top of their privilege, to really become high performers. Some will, but most won't. They will struggle. And I've seen that a lot on the clinical side: the doctors, the nurses, the NPs, the clinical administrators, the people who went from doing to leading. They can use support by getting an external mentor, paid or unpaid. It will allow them to have a safe zone in order to be able to have these vital communications and discussions on a weekly basis. I work with my mentees on a weekly basis for 30 minutes. Every last one of them tells me that's the most valuable piece. It is important that you make that investment, not just in coaching, but in mentoring. And there's a difference. A good coach, and I've had a few of them over the years, were great listeners. They asked good questions. They made me think about myself, but they weren't of great help in the work that I was doing, because often they were not in the work that I was doing. That's the difference between a mentor and a coach. A mentor is somebody who's been there and has done that, who has deep experience across the value stream, who has resources available to them to align you to those knowledge, those SMEs that you need to have. So think about that before you select your mentor, or you go out and retain a mentor. Make sure this is interactive. It's a two-way street. Bring strategies, actionable items to the table that you can work on together. Have discussions in confidence. You can do a presentation without having to worry about if you sound like a fool or not. Right? That's what a mentor is and supposed to do for you. It's a two-way dialogue on a weekly basis. Reverse mentoring, of course, allows you to be a mentor to a mentee. Very powerful, because when you teach, you learn. Right? That's part of the joys that I have in teaching every day. And coaching and mentoring is a good reminder to myself what it is that I need to do. Right? It is about having regular sessions. But also a vital component of mentoring is to receive feedback from the people around you. So that's what we call an assertive feedback, asking the people around you from above to the side to the below you to what it is that you do well, or where are opportunities around blind spots, or what you should do more of. Right? We tend to manage our reality, what we think is the right thing to do, but we really should go and make it a point to ask people what they think. And based on your findings there, as long as you hear two, three, four times, there's often truth in the matter, and you can make this actionable. Again, this is an action item. Retain a mentor and complete regular 360 feedback sessions. Discuss this in confidence and grow from these things. It will really help you in 2023 as one of your keys to success. And lastly, the last key is, and it's 10%, is formal learning. And why is that important? Well, listen, we need to be worldly, right? And there is now this expectation that we are saying that a master's is our new bachelor's. Well, to do that, you need to go to a matriculated program. You need to go to a college. Again, plan accordingly for that. Don't just say, I'm going to. No, no, plan this out. Where do I want to go? Who's going to pay for it? When do I want to start? How can I create time on my calendar to be able to go to it and it be meaningfully present, to be successful, to get the most out of these programs? Again, these are theory-based programs. This will allow you to become more worldly and certainly attain a credential that might be beneficial on your journey to becoming to whoever you want to be. Again, as the leader of the organization, encourage your team members to use up that tuition reimbursement. 80% of tuition reimbursement is never used. That's failed leadership, if you ask me. Now, you can go to certified programs like your PMP, your Lean Six Sigma. You can go, you get your MBA, MHA. You can go do your fellowship, the board certified fellowship of the American College of Healthcare Executives. There are all kinds of formal learning opportunities, including what we offer at the Dutch Mentor is an academy. 16 weeks, really, it's a 6-month program at this point in time. That you go to 15 weeks of personal growth and development around people leading skills and learning how to solve problems at root causes, and then how to build it into a team operational rhythm, but closely supported by that 30-minute weekly mentoring session. It is, again, it's taking action on what it is that you want to accomplish for that year and measure that. Put it onto your individual development plan to really get your greatest success out of it. So what are the benefits of the 70-20-10 approach? Right? It empowers people to take care of their learning. In other words, we want to create ownership around this. A performance evaluation on an annual basis is owned by the manager, often done begrudgingly, hastily, put back on the shelf, pull it back down a year later. And there's really, there's no great joy in this. It's too often it has a negative to it as well. So an IDP is a really great substitute. That 70-20-10 rule is a real good opportunity for you to develop your team members, but they own it, right? It encourages the sharing of experiences, that continuous learning, not just once a year, but on an ongoing basis, right? It recognizes the role of everybody can play in improving performance, right? It is inclusive. You want to draw people into it. The emerging leader's responsibility is to look at the pre-emerging leader. Do talent management, right? Who can I draw into the mix in order to be able to give them hope and opportunity as well? It broadens the people's view of what learning really is all about, right? It is different than going to a webinar or a conference, right? It is tangible, action-based learning. It is more fun, to be honest with you. It improves the development and planning, strategic planning, keeping an eye on the big picture, by teaching people about macroeconomics and microeconomics and getting them to understand what is the behind the scenes, the governance, the leadership, the performance improvement. Right? It moves the thinking towards what can I do now? And we call it, what is the one thing that I can do today to have the greatest impact on something else? That's part of that 70-20-10 approach. And then it develops a learning culture in the organization itself. And that is key, right? It is not one learning, it's all of us are continuous learning. It's part of the culture of continuous improvement and operational excellence. It is where you can make a real difference. Listen, we work in a world with lots of distractions. As you could hear, my landscaper just showed up and the dogs are barking. They're doing their jobs. I can react to that, or I can learn to respond to that. And my response is to just go through it. Is not to react. That's another valuable lesson that we can teach our folks. E plus R equals O, right? Events are going to happen. Let's learn to respond to these things appropriately that deliver the best outcome. So, developing your IDP, committing yourself to that 70-20-10 approach really will deliver tangible outcomes that you can talk about in your annual performance evaluation. Again, heavily invest in yourself and into your middle managers. That's the key takeaway message for today. Don't wait for it to come to you. Go out and seek it. Develop your individual development plan. Use that 70-20-10 approach. If you like, you can come to my website at thedutchmentor.com, book a free consult. I'd be more than happy to chat with you and talk a little bit about that, how that can apply in your role or in your organization. I know from the students that we have had over the last year and a half, all 124 of them, every single last one of them have made a testament that the weekly one-to-one coaching combined with action-based learning has had a tangible impact on their ability to lead. And 9 of those were promoted to the next level positions, including a CFO, a chief of police, and several director level positions. Again, it is about taking action. I'd like to wish everybody a great holiday season. Not too early for that, but promise yourself and give the gift by taking action today. Plan for yourself, the IDP, and use the same technique with your team members. Invest in your middle managers. After all, they manage 90% of the people who do the daily work. Thank you. Have a wonderful day, and we'll talk soon again.